Sir, with the death toll in Gaza now exceeding 41,000, what are the immediate legal and humanitarian implications of this immense figure, especially 1 year into this aggression?
Yes, the Israeli aggression against the occupied Palestinian territories generally, and particularly in Gaza Strip, is one of the most important international models for the violation of the principles of the international law and the international humanitarian law and the international human rights law. It's also a violation of the international legitimacy and UN Charter. Hence, Israel is still continuing the genocide against the civilians in Gaza Strip in a manner that contradicts all the international charts and agreements. It's a severe war. It's also considered a severe war in the International Criminal Court, and also contradicts the agreement against the genocide that was signed in the 40s. In this year, more than 40,000 Palestinian martyrs, most of them are women and children. There are also other agreements that Israel hasn't committed to, including Geneva Agreement and agreements on women's rights, either CEDAW or children's rights agreement. It still violates UN Charter. It still rebels against the international law principles by enacting racist legislations, by categorizing UNRWA as a terrorism organization. They also announced that the General Secretary of the United Nations is an unwanted person. So, this is what happens in Gaza Strip. It's a genocide crime. It has been a year since Israel started this crime, this war crime, this crime against humanity. It's the whole responsibility of the international community represented in the United Nations, either the UN General Assembly and UN agencies. The International Criminal Court took many temporary procedures that Israel didn't respect, putting into consideration that these procedures against genocide has a legal form similar to the legal sentences issued by the International Criminal Court. Security Council also issued many resolutions that Israel didn't commit to. The United States used its veto right more than once, which confirms the end of the major role of the United Nations, especially the Security Council, which is maintaining the world peace. Veto undermines the role of the Security Council and undermines also its main role. Veto is against Article 2, Item 4, on not occupying by force any other territory. Thus, this year and before and since 1948, Israel rebels against the UN Charter. His Excellency Mahmoud Abbas, the President of Palestine, in his speech before the General Assembly, called for freezing the membership of Israel because it doesn't adhere to the resolutions of the United Nations, especially the resolution of 1947 on the right to return and compensation. So Israel, since 1947, repels against the application and the implementation of the mechanisms of the international humanitarian law. Israel also hasn't ratified Geneva Agreement number 4. So the international community has to make Israel respect and implement the resolutions of the General Assembly on the sentences of the International Court that put a schedule on ending the occupation and Israeli withdrawal in 12 months. The consultancy opinion of the International Criminal Court confirmed that this occupation is not legal. These international resolutions should be respected. In addition, not committing to these resolutions encourage Israel to commit further crimes against the Palestinian people. Another point is that the General Prosecutor of the International Criminal Court and the preparatory chamber in the International Criminal Court should issue memos to catch and stop those who committed the crimes against humanity and war crimes and genocide crimes against the Palestinian people. Otherwise, the International Criminal Court in this way practices the policy of doublism or double standards. We need to adhere. Let's see how it dealt with the Ukrainian crisis compared to the Palestinian crisis. So what happens in Palestine and the crimes against stability and peace in Palestine threatens the stability and peace worldwide. So it's the responsibility of the they have to move from chapter 6 to chapter 7 to force Israel to implement these procedures and resolutions. They have to impose sanctions against this outlaw state with the reason of self-defense. Israel announced that Gaza Strip is an enemy. This occupied region shouldn't be considered as such until they escape from the legal protection of the civilians. They announced that Gaza Strip as terroristic strip. The International Criminal Court said when Israel took the consultancy opinion of the International Criminal Court for self-defense, the court didn't take it. So the right of resistance is limited to the occupied people who suffers. And according to the resolutions of the UN General Assembly, they have the right for self-determination and they should adhere to the resolutions of the international legitimacy.